A massive thank you to Adriana, Connor, 502, Owen and Dominic for subscribing to the channel. If you want to be featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 17 of Season 3 of the F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're here this weekend at the Singapore Grand Prix. Theoretically, if the last few races are anything to go by, a track that should suit us quite nicely on F1 22. Of course, if you missed out on the last video a couple of days ago that went live from Monza, would highly recommend going back and checking out. Things are certainly heating up in this career mode currently at this time. But of course as well, a massive thank you to all of you for the insane and continued support on the channel. Getting very, very close now to 90,000 subscribers. Of course, the big goal 100k by the end of the year. But yeah, we've got a lot actually going on before we head to Singapore. There you can see plenty currently on the calendar, if you will. And the most important one you can see on the 27th of September, we're meant to be getting a chassis upgrade coming in. We've got a couple of other little things going on just before then. We'll quite happily lose 50 grand to make sure that the chassis department are quite happy, especially when we've got a bit more money coming in at the moment. But yeah, as long as we get that chassis upgrade on, we should hopefully therefore be able to apply some more upgrades to the car once that's gone. So there we go then, chassis upgrade fabrication to spec 3 means that now the aero, the chassis and the powertrain departments are on full spec there, which means we should only have a couple more upgrades to go here on F1 22. And of course we've got so many R&D points at the moment that yeah, getting all these upgrades on is going to be very, very easy there. 10,000 R&D points has just been spent on upgrades as we head towards the final few races of the year. And you can see that is going to push us a long, long way clear of Ferrari and Mercedes there. Of course, championship-wise, Bottas still leads the way. 34 points now, the gap at the top of the table, as we, for the first time in quite a few races, back into P2 overall in the championship, and we've been on quite a good run of form there, beating out Bottas in the last 3 Grand Prix in a row. Let's hope that can continue though here at Singapore. 6 races left of this campaign. It is still anyone's guess who will come out on top.
Okay, I need your attention. The tech regulations are changing. There's a risk some of our hard work will be undone, so we need to mitigate it. As soon as you can, I want you to look at the developments we have and tell us what areas you want to invest in protecting.
Right, okay, so apparently we've got even more going on then. Rule changes confirmed for Season 3, and it is the aero and the chassis there, so and durability. So all of those upgrades we've just put on the car, we're going to have to try and make sure that we protect them by the end of the year. Luckily, of course, like I said, we've got so many R&D points, we're going to end up spending quite a lot this weekend by the looks of it. And there we go, that is 31,000 R&D points spent this weekend there. You can see we've got quite a few supplier upgrades coming as well, and there are still plenty more upgrades that need to be sorted before the end of the year. We're going to have 9 on this chassis and 10 further upgrades on the durability there. So that is quite a big shake-up then as we prepare ourselves for Season 4 of this career mode. But now we can actually jump into the Singapore GP. Free practice 1 then here from Singapore, initially kicked off in fact with just a little rain shower there. You can still, the sky still looking very, very overcast. Remember, free practice 1 here in Singapore is actually meant to be in the day, but it looks pretty dark if you ask me. As we head down in towards Turn 1, it should be pretty much dry running from now for the rest of the weekend, but yeah, just a little bit to spice things up once more around the Singapore venue.
Okay.
Well, I've been consistently saying over the last few weekends that, of course, R&D points have been pretty irrelevant, but suddenly they've become quite probably the most valuable resource we've got on F1 22 once more. 30,000 spent this weekend. We're probably going to have to spend close to another 10,000 between now and the end of the year. So we need to earn as many as possible, and that's only going to be a green score to kickstart the weekend. See if we can try and get purple. Heading through the final couple of turns, though, again, we're going to get closer to that purple score, but I don't think it's quite going to be doable this weekend. It just seems to believe you can carry a lot more speed into a lot of the corners than is sensibly possible on a set of hard tyres. Right, well, back to the age-old question then. Just how inaccurate will the qualifying sim run be here from Singapore? The target time is a 1:35.1. That might not be completely stupid, but we'll wait and see as I'll shut the car over the first couple of curves. Running very, very high downforce this weekend, as you would expect, but it's certainly going to be difficult if we can't qualify well. Certainly gets even more difficult when you've got Felipe Drugovich just sat in the way through the middle sector. Yep, that's pretty much going to put pay to this session. Why doesn't he move? Come on, he's just on a race sim run on a set of hard tyres. Surely you can just move out of the way, man. There we go, muscle our way through in the end. But yeah, that's completely gone. Let's jump into qualifying then here from Singapore. Really? Oh, Drogo, my old teammate. We are not mates anymore, apparently. Formula 1 is finally back in 2022, and now you can rep your favourite teams. Of course, using the F1 store, every team now has merch lineups available, whether you're an Aston Martin fan, a Williams fan, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, the choice is completely up to you. But yeah, check out the F1 merch store down below for all the official releases from all of the teams. And of course, as always, if you use our links as well, you massively help support the channel. So yeah, give it a look and see if there's anything you like. Right, here we are then, Singapore qualifying night, and yeah, I kind of forgot, of course, the Hungaroring, probably one of the other circuits comparable to Singapore, based on downforce levels, and yeah, Bottas absolutely dominated that weekend, and he was fastest by a long way in Q1 here. We're going to be aiming for a low 36 on this set of soft compound tyres, but Hamilton as well was able to match that in Q1. Bottas, however, yeah, down in the mid 35, so yeah, it often seems the way that a track where I thought our car might be strong, McLaren seemed to have a little bit extra, so hopefully those chassis upgrades in the final few weekends can really make a bit of difference and bring us a bit closer to that McLaren, but we've just got to do what we can do with the car we've got underneath us, and I mean, it still feels pretty quick around this track. Really, oh, I hate that curb. I hate that curb. I know I say it every time we come back to Singapore, but I always try and attack over it. And I just cannot find a line that works through there. But down in towards the final couple of corners, that is not a line that works through there either. All over the road as we head through down towards this final double apex left-hander up towards the line. Ricciardo, 16.3. Okay, 15.7. Apparently we are a lot more competitive than I originally anticipated then. I only did the one run on the mediums in Q1, and that was a 37.0, so we'll take a 35.7 as... what's George Russell doing? Well, there we go then. We do sneak through out of Q2 on just the singular run as well there, but Bottas fastest. Hamilton, though, only a tenth away. So clearly this 2-1-2 Motorsport car is getting a whole lot quicker there. Nicholas Latifi out in Q2, slower than Pierre Gasly and a Williams. Goes to says it all, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, we'll get 2 runs then here in Q3. We need a low 35, which, to be honest, actually now doesn't seem impossible. Right, well, it doesn't get much more difficult than a full commitment lap here at Singapore, one of the most difficult tracks to actually try and qualify on, I reckon, on Formula 1, but let's wait and see what we can do then. Going to need sweat mode on both of these laps, I feel like, just to make sure we get it all hooked up. Oh, that was annoying. Just a little bit of a mistake there so far. The lap had felt pretty hooked up. Wait and see what we can do, though, through these final couple of corners. Charles Leclerc, 35.7. So hopefully going to be able to go quicker than the Monegasque Ferrari driver. Of course, took the win last weekend. Now finally Ferrari back on top there, and I'm sure they would have wanted to do it at the home Grand Prix at the final corner, though. 35.6. The first 2/3 of the lap felt really hooked up, but that final sector, there was definitely a lot left on the table. There's Bottas, 35 flat. What can we do against that? Right, a minute left on the clock. Everyone going out for their final runs here in qualifying. We've got someone in the pit lane. I don't know whether that's Zhou Guanyu or Valtteri Bottas. Maybe Bottas is trying to do a Seb from a couple of years ago and not even needing to do his final Q3 run. But let's really get our head down then. Try and find a bit more time. First couple of sectors were good, but half a second the gap to the flying Finn. This is going to require a really on-it lap. this lap's felt good. I can't afford to look at the delta though until we get out of the final turn. What's it going to be? Up towards the line. It's pole here at Singapore. I think that's a 34.9. Well, I think it was actually our teammate Lewis Hamilton there that stayed in the pit lane at the end of qualifying. I think he had a technical issue. No way would Lewis Hamilton be 1.7 seconds down around the Singapore Grand Prix circuit there. But Valtteri Bottas thought he had pole locked out. Somehow, right at the end of the session there, we pull it out of the hat. A 1:34.985 there. Was never expecting that lap time throughout the entirety of qualifying there. But we got it nailed right at the very end. Hopefully we can carry that confidence into the Grand Prix. Often our race car has been quicker than our qualifying car here, and especially with the amount of downforce we've got, that pole position might be critical for our championship hopes. Let's get into it. Marina Bay. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
Against the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, Formula 1 returns once again to do battle in what tends to become something of an endurance race, with the notorious sauna-like temperatures in the cockpit making for an extremely physically challenging race. We're here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit today, located in the heart of Singapore. The circuit consists of 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right. It's a track that's incredibly technical, so don't expect to see the drivers taking too much of it at full throttle. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Perez, Guan Yu Zhou and Leclerc, Ricciardo, Norris, Gasly and Esteban Ocon, Latifi, Tsunoda, Alex Albon and Schwartzman, Magnussen, Verstappen, Felipe Drugovich and Lance Stroll, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Mick Schumacher and Daniel Ticktum. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
We're still second to Bottas, but you're still in a position to claim the Drivers' Championship. Give it your best shot, mate.
That might genuinely be, and I'm not trying to make a meme here, the most accurate sort of real-to-life radio message I've heard on F1 22. We are still second to Bottas in the title, but there is still every opportunity that we can try and close down that gap this weekend, especially starting from the pole position. Meant to be, well, it's not technically sunny skies, is it, here at Singapore? It's meant to be moony skies here at Singapore. I guess that kind of works. But yeah, 31 laps ahead of us, the longest and toughest race on the F1 calendar in terms of time. But yeah, top 2 in the championship, top 2 on the grid. Max Verstappen with some penalties as well. I'm guessing, yeah, his championship hopes are very quickly evaporating at the moment. But Russell and Perez both starting on softs. Bottas and I might have our work cut out at the start of this race. Around in the final corner then. Why are Russell and Perez trying to get the jump on Valtteri Bottas there? They're bullying him as we line ourselves up on the grid. Gonna have to try and cover off, I feel, from Bottas quite a bit, to be honest, so we'll just try and ease it towards our grid slot. There we go, angled nicely towards the centre of the road. Make sure we don't do a Sebastian Vettel though off the launch here. Is waiting on those last couple of cars on the grid. Dan Ticktum, pretty certain it is rounding out the field, and let's see what we can do then here at Marina Bay. 31 laps ahead of us. We've got to continue to try and beat Bottas in these last few races of the year, but was qualifying an outlier. Do we have the real pace today? 5 red lights. And lights out, and away we go. And Bottas responding very well. The same can be said for George Russell, straight into the lead of the Grand Prix there as we head down through turn 1. Sergio Perez trying to hook it up around the outside of ourselves there as we go side by side with Bottas through turn 3. Nowhere to go on the exit of the corner as Perez tries to defend from Charles Leclerc behind. But the dream start for George Russell in his Mercedes there, up into the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix. Bottas will be in hot pursuit there as Sergio Perez tries to have a move on me there as we are very, very aggressive there. Get the elbows out, and Perez having none of it, centred up the inside down at turn 5, but we will just about hang on to the position there. Very, very cold tyres though at the start of this Grand Prix as Sergio Perez really trying to get his elbows out. Russell now with a 3-second lead over myself by the end of sector 1. We've got to get our head down and focus here, otherwise we could be in a world of hurt very, very early on. Just have not switched on the tyres once again. It seems to be the story for myself at the moment on F1 22, but yeah, Sergio Perez really trying to make moves happen early on. I don't know whether he's been told by the team, you know, Verstappen down the grid, he absolutely has to go for it. I mean, Perez, there's a fair chance he could still jump Max by the end of the season, but rounding our way through the final couple of corners, Russell, of course, as you would expect, still just able to pull out a little bit on those soft tyres, but yeah, the gap is coming down to Bottas ever so slightly. And that is a good sign now. Of course, we're not really worried about George Russell today. We're just worried about what we can do between us and Bottas between now and the end of the year. But, yeah, car now up to scrub. Let's see if we can try and pull away from Checo. But unless my memories fail me, I'm pretty certain George Russell actually led a lot of last year's Singapore Grand Prix as well and then couldn't walk away with the victory. I don't quite remember off the top of my head what went wrong for him late on in the day. But already looks like those soft tyres maybe just starting to overheat a little bit as Bottas and I, the gap still staying pretty level. Checo 1 second back now, hopefully going to keep him outside of the DRS range. And I mean, often it's Charles Leclerc and Ferrari that go for the brave strategies this season, but Red Bull and Mercedes trying it this weekend. Are they going to go halves or are they going to 2-stop? That's the real question. As Bottas 29.4, we only go 2/10 slower, so we have certainly got pace. It's just about trying to hang on. Already looks like Bottas is trying to apply some pressure to George Russell in the lead of this Grand Prix as Hamilton, yeah, again more penalties this weekend, so it must have been a technical issue towards the end of Q3 that meant he couldn't do his final run, but you know, we've got to hope George Russell can really defend from the man he replaced at Mercedes, although saying that seems like Bottas has really been the big winner at that driver transfer shuffle, but yeah, Russell looks to have enough top-end speed for now. We've just got to try and close in on the pair. Oh, Lando Norris with issues. Of course, yeah, Alpine now rather than McLaren, so yeah, not going to make much of a change in the bigger picture. But yeah, George Russell on those soft tyres is definitely starting to struggle a bit more. Still quite early on in this Grand Prix. You can now see Bottas. Oh, where are we off through the final corner? Bottas now going to try and line up a move back down towards turn 1. And we need to be right there to try and capitalise on this as George Russell will try and hang it alongside him, but mighty McLaren, the mighty Finn inside it. Going to try and pull the move off there as they go side by side at the first couple of corners. Russell will hang on for now, and that is going to bring us within DRS range of the pair of them here. Will Bottas though be able to get another run as we head up the Raffles Boulevard, just lap 6 of the Grand Prix? They're all big wobble as Russell rightfully defends his car on the inside there, close to contact, and we'll say thank you very much. George Russell has just lost 2 places in one go. Oh, again, contact with Bottas. Just, I don't know what it is, my addiction to his diffuser over the last couple of weekends. I keep getting questioned about damage as well on F1 22. It is on. It's on standard. I don't know why. You know, the contact model is certainly more lenient on F1 22 than previous F1 games, but yeah, not a lot else I can do about it because sim damage is still pretty broken, so it's not like I can put it there. But Bottas now into the lead of the Grand Prix, myself up to P2. We've now got to try and hang on to the Flying Finn's coattails and see what we can do. So there we go, George Russell already into the pit lane then at the end of lap 6, as apparently we're still just a little bit all over the road at the moment, and sometimes not even on it as we head through the first couple of corners. But yeah, those soft tyres have really not worked out well for George Russell early on in this Grand Prix. Bottas, though, has got the bit between his teeth and immediately has broken out of the 1 second zone from myself. There is Verstappen also into the pits. Leclerc with issues. It's not going to worry me too much at the moment. We're just focused on Bottas, but yeah, McLaren around these tighter circuits are just something else still. There we go, Max Verstappen trying to make sure that Bottas and I don't forget about him entirely in this Grand Prix. New fastest lap of the day, but both Red Bulls now sat inside the bottom 6 in this Grand Prix. George Russell sat between them as well there, so yeah, Russell must have been jumped by Checo, I think, at some point, unless Verstappen, no, surely Verstappen can't be out ahead of them. But yeah, Bottas is just slowly pulling away from me at the moment. Just trying to think what we can do to try and stay a bit closer to the Flying Finn. I mean, we've had a couple of races recently where we've lacked pace to him and still outscored him. But yeah, Singapore, when it's just one-on-one, I'm struggling to think of a way at the moment. That's not going to do me any favours either. I hate that curb. We can't do anything about that at the moment. I still feel like I'm giving it my all around this Singapore Grand Prix circuit. But Bottas, once again, we might just have to accept the fate this weekend and appreciate the fact that that McLaren is just a faster package once more. I really did think Singapore might have been the track, that we could have tried to take a lot out of him, but so far the signs are not promising. But we are running 11 laps in, and we could get a well-timed safety car, something like that. But yeah, Bottas, of course, still with the upper hand, both in the race, the car, and the championship. What's worrying me even more at the moment is Zhou Guanyu has now picked up into 3rd place here, and McLaren is actually taking time out of me, which we haven't said much this year. Zhou Guanyu's had a pretty quiet campaign. As Lewis, yeah, there's going to be no way he can come to our aid today, but Zhou Guanyu might certainly be able to help Bottas. Well, getting closer and closer to half distance then in this Grand Prix. Mark and I on similar wavelengths there. I'm thinking about pit stops as well at the moment, but what I'm thinking is we have to wait till after Bottas is boxed, although saying that, I think he's just going to come out in at P4 there. Looks like Charles Leclerc still with some issues there. It's just holding up a bit of a train. I was kind of hoping Bottas, yeah, might come out in some dirty air, but it's not going to happen. But yeah, I just think at the moment we've just got to wait for a miracle, really. There we go, Bottas into the pits at the end of lap 14. The only other thing I thought about, tyre wear's not too bad round here, whether it be worth trying to extend the stint to about the end of lap 21 and then go and softs to the checkered flag here. We may as well try it. I've got a lot to lose behind there as Bottas, yep, onto hards he goes, but 30 seconds clear of Hamilton, and he's sort of splat bang in the middle of that whole train of cars. There's no way Bottas is going to come out under any pressure. There goes Bottas comfortably in P4 of this Grand Prix, so yeah, we may as well just throw caution to the wind, try to extend this stint as long as possible, and at least we'll be able to monitor the gap to Valtteri. But yeah, I mean, 6 seconds on the softs is not an insurmountable goal, but it's how much time we're going to lose between then and now. Of course, really the only other thing we can hope for today is just a safety car later on, as Russell and Perez now up into P3 and P4. I've kind of forgotten about them in this one, but surely they can't do mediums for 24. Oh, I'm actually saying that, yeah, it's probably not impossible. So maybe George Russell and Sergio Perez might still be a threat by the end of this Grand Prix. We've just got to try and pray now for a safety car. That's the only thing I can sensibly see bringing us back into this. Either that or a Bottas mechanical failure, which, let's be fair, McLaren have been pretty bulletproof with the exception of Austria. Bottas has made it to the checker flag, I think, every race this year, and that was only the Austria sprint. But there's actually quite a lot going on then as we start lap 19 of this Grand Prix. Bottas is still taking a fair chunk of time out of me. I mean, that's no real surprise at this stage of the afternoon. George Russell, though, he's going to be quite close when we do inevitably box in a couple of laps' time. But I've also noticed Alfa Romeo and Haas up in the points. I think they're on the same strategy as what Russell and Perez have done here, and they might be on for some points this weekend, which I'm pretty certain Alfa Romeo and Haas are the only two teams yet to score this season. We have often seen this at Singapore. It has been a good opportunity for some of the backmarkers just to do a bit of a weird strategy and walk away with a good result there, and I think it's all thanks to Dan Tickton, who is absolutely causing a train and a half at the moment from pretty much about P13 downwards. Oh, there we go. That is Russell into the pit lane then, so Looks like they are going to be two-stopping there. Verstappen also in, so that relieves even more pressure from myself. The only one we've really got to worry about is Zhou Guanyu still, because that is not the line out of the hairpin. These tyres are definitely going off. Right, we're going to box confirm then at the end of this lap. Zhou Guanyu still 31 seconds back, and I'm pretty certain you'll lose about 26 through the pit lane, so that's kind of the number I'm basing it upon at the moment. But sadly now, actually look at that, Pierre Gasly in his Williams up in a P5. That's a feel-good story for the afternoon. Sadly, Alfa Romeo and Haas, yeah, their strategy, they're not going to brave it out to the checkered flag, but Gasly in 5th would be a mega result. There we go, tyre wear warning light has just flashed up, but yeah, I mean, if we want to try and get a miracle and jump Bottas by the end of this one, we're going to need about 2 seconds a lap between now and the checkered flag. So, I mean, on the set of softs, that doesn't actually sound impossible for at least a few laps, but 10 laps worth? I'm not quite convinced at the moment as we thread the car through these final few corners of the lap. Tyre wear today has been pretty good, but yeah, I mean, we just kind of had to try something. If we got lucky and got a safety car, it would have really, really helped us out, but just got to make sure we walk away with P2 by the end of this one. Ah! Yeah, that might definitely put pay to any last hopes I'd had there. 2 miles an hour over as we went into the pit lane there. That is certainly not going to do us any favours late on in the GP, but luckily I don't think it's going to make much difference either. As long as we just build up the gap over Zhou Guanyu. It was 2.3, that one felt pretty good, but yeah, let's just see what we can do then. Final few laps of the Singapore Grand Prix. We are going to be out back ahead of the McLaren on much quicker, much fresher tyres. But yeah, 20 seconds, the gap to the other one. Bottas today has been in control. Oh, Hamilton! Hamilton out of the Singapore Grand Prix there quite late on in the day, so more and more technical issues for our teammate here late on in the afternoon. We could have really done with a safety car. That could have really helped our afternoon. But Hamilton out of the Singapore Grand Prix. And now we've got to try and chase fastest lap. We need the bonus point as best as possible here. But yeah, Bottas, there is no chance we'll even get close to him by the end. Never mind the 5-second penalty. There we go, new fast lap of the day, 37 flat. So yeah, that should hopefully be good enough to take that bonus point. We need every point we can get at the moment. But yeah, 8 laps to go here from Singapore. Just got to make sure now we keep the gap to Zhou Guanyu up and over 5 seconds. That'd be a pretty silly way to lose a couple of points. Oh, we've got more yellow flags out. Who's now got issues? It's one of the Williams. It must be Alex Albon then, by the looks of it, in this Grand Prix. And could we now get a safety car very late on in the day? Let's just wait for official confirmation. It might just be that they've had a bit of a technical gremlin, but to be honest, a safety car at this point might not do me any favours because we've still got that 5-second penalty. What we'd probably have to do is box and come back out again on another set of softs, but yeah, whoever it is, really taking their time to think about it. Alex Albon out of the Singapore Grand Prix, and again, no safety car. Right, 4 laps to go then of this Grand Prix, and now we're just starting to see these soft tyres fall away just a little bit. The gap's still going up to Zhou Guanyu behind us, and it goes to show just how quick Valtteri Bottas has been throughout the entirety of today. The fact the gap to Zhou Guanyu is higher than it was when he boxed, but still the gap to Bottas is up another 7 seconds in that time. Bottas has just been in a league of his own today, and fair play to him. Been a little while since that win back at Hungaroring, but yeah, for Bottas it is just all about consistency between now and the end of the year. Taking the wins when you can and not risking it when you don't think you've got a fair shot there. He's like a modern day Alain Prost on occasion on F1 22. Other times he does also try and unleash the inner Senna within him and absolutely send it on you, but you know, we'll let bygones be bygones for now. But yeah, just lapping through the final few laps here at Singapore, though I apologise, it hasn't been the most exciting race in the world, but it's kind of been one of those races that still just gets you closer. So while I'm hoping still can be a championship battle, but 40 points in 5 races, it's not technically out of our control, but we are basically going to have to win and get fastest lap in most races between now and the end of the year, or hope that Bottas has a mechanical issue somewhere. Right, final lap then here from Singapore, and Valtteri Bottas, and what more can you say, absolutely dominant race. stayed actually in P2, of course, early on, but yeah, myself and Valtteri both had much superior strategy to Mercedes and Red Bull this weekend. Their Ferrari as well, not done badly, and they might take a couple of points out of us. No, I think we should actually beat out Ferrari this weekend, make sure we stay ahead of them in our constructors battle, but any hope we had of trying to close up to McLaren, probably now out of the window. Just got to make sure we don't lose another 3 seconds to Zhou Guanyu on this final lap. But yeah, like I said, Bottas, it's been a little while since that win at the Hungaroring, of course, before the summer break. Yeah, hasn't been plain sailing for McLaren since then. Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, even ourselves have just ramped it up a little bit, found that bit extra to bring the gap back to McLaren. But this weekend at Singapore, I was hyping it up as a track that should be strong for us, but I completely forgot just how good that McLaren is through the really high downforce stuff. Valtteri Bottas rounding the final few corners. He is going to once again open up his championship lead at the top of the table. It is not over at the moment, but it is certainly a very, very high mountain to climb. Valtteri Bottas, I've looked at the wrong car. He will be coming through to win the Singapore Grand Prix there. We've still got a little bit of time in hand to Zhou Guanyu, but luckily, yeah, that 5-second penalty is going to make no difference there. The fireworks are out here at Marina Bay, but rounding the final few corners, a dominant display on how you win a street race there. Bottas will win, and his main championship threat in myself will come through for P2.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a great finish. Well done.
What a great race it's been then. Another classic Singapore Grand Prix. And they've held on to take the checkered flag here today. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I feel consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be McLaren picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance. And now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Natalie Pinkham, come on, who do you pick?
Well, there's no question in my mind. It has to go to George Russell. What a performance. He's got every right to be proud of what he accomplished out there today.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Singapore Grand Prix, and I'm not sure how George Russell picks up driver of the day there. I guess Natalie Pinkham and him are better mates than any of us ever realised. But Valtteri Bottas, a dominant race victory there, 21 seconds clear after my penalty means he was basically putting that, yeah, like 6/10 a lap every single lap throughout the Grand Prix there. What more could you really ask for from the Flying Finn? We come through for P2. They're ruining a potential McLaren 1-2. Ricciardo in at P4 ahead of George Russell there. Perez, Gasly, Ocon, Charles Leclerc, and Latifi. He's getting feisty. That's 2 points finishes in a row late on in the campaign there. He even beat out Max Verstappen to the checkered flag. Further down the order though, Albon and Hamilton both not making it to the finish. Lance Stroll, the only car a lap down, and yeah, after hyping up Haas and Alfa Romeo, the highest any of their cars finished was P15 still. Championship wise, 40 points though, the gap opens up at the top of the table, but yeah, it is all but over for Max Verstappen. They're 77 points back with 5 races to go. He could effectively be knocked out of it next weekend if I'm not no, he's still guaranteed to be in the fight. after Suzuka there. Perez rejumped Charles Leclerc, though, up into P4, just 7 points now behind his teammates. Constructors-wise, though, yeah, we lose a lot of ground there. McLaren now getting really, really feisty up towards Red Bull, just 24 points between them as we head into the final few Grand Prix of the year. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will return next week with more F1 22 My Team. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.